In this lecture, we'll take a look at the services available and the benefits of networking.
The thing about networks is they have the potential to create enormous social change, and we've already been seeing that in our lives, just how much we use the network. So now that we've looked at how they're designed and how they're built, let's take a look at the services they can offer and their impact on society. Electronic mail or email has been the single most popular application of networks for the last 35 years. I mean, right now it's estimated about 250 billion email messages are transmitted across the internet every single day. I mean, when the internet was first developed, the designers thought it would be a great way to access advanced high-performance hardware and software, but instead they found that it's a very effective way to support interpersonal communication. And email has rapidly become a dominant application. And why is this the case? Well, there are several reasons. I mean, first of all, it's very convenient because you can send a message whenever you want, and it waits for the recipient to log on and then read it at his or her convenience. So I mean, you can just send a message whenever you want, and then you can read it whenever you're ready to read it. Email is also really fast. I mean, a message just from the U.S. typically arrives anywhere in the world in less than a minute, even though it has to pass through several nodes just to be able to get to that destination, but it's still really fast. And then email supports multimedia. So I mean, it can the content of the message can include things other than just the message. It can include several attachments, such as photos, text, graphics, music. It can even broadcast messages, so we can actually send something to several people at the same time and not just one person. Another application that's related to email that came around during the 80s and 90s was the Bulletin Board system, or usually abbreviated as BBS. This is basically a shared public file where anyone can post messages and everyone is free to read the postings of others. It's basically an electronic version of the bulletin boards that we see at grocery stores and gas stations and cafes and so forth. So most of these have a particular topic or a special area of interest. Now, today's bulletin boards have actually evolved into internet forums and chat rooms that support the real-time exchange of messages. In addition to simply posting a message that can be read at another time, they also support interactive messaging. And this is when the sender types something that appears immediately on the screen for another individual. So, I mean, these have turned into other forms of message exchanges, which are texting and instant messaging. So texting is where we're typing a message like on your phone, and then it gets sent to someone right away. I mean, most of you have probably used texting like every single hour of the day. And then instant messaging is something similar, which is something you do on the internet. But both of these involve the rapid exchange of messages that uses some type of wireless technology. Now, the enormous popularity of using digital technology to keep in touch with other people have actually led to the development of social networks, systems that create communities of users who share common interests and activities that provide so many different methods of online interactions. So, I mean, there are several examples of these, like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are just some of the common and popular examples of social networks. Another important network service is what we call resource sharing, which is the ability to share physical resources, such as a printer or a storage device, as well as logical resources, such as software and data. So let me give you just a couple small examples of resource sharing. So, I mean, we know that the prices of computers and accessories to it have been dropping a lot. So, I mean, it's very tempting just to think that everyone should just buy their own I/O units and their own mass storage devices. But sometimes this is not a cost-effective way to configure computer systems. So, I mean, for example, I mean, a high-quality printer may be used rather infrequently. So giving everyone in an office their own printer may not be the best idea because they're just kind of sitting there and not really doing anything. So instead, it might actually be better to have a few shared printers, or what we call a printer server, where it can be accessed by anyone that's connected to the printer through the LAN network. Now, similarly, let's say we have a group of users that require access to a data file or a piece of software. Instead of giving everyone their own copy of that file, then having to send updates to each other, we could actually have one copy of the file on a shared network disk, which is what we call a file server. So this could be a cost-effective way to provide shared backup services to multiple sites, as well as making it easier to access information from multiple devices, such as your computer at work, your tablet, your computer at home, or even your smartphone. The style of computing wherein some nodes provide services while the remaining nodes are users or clients of those services is called, naturally enough, a client-server computing. Now, we've seen a couple of examples already. We've seen print servers, we've seen file servers, but there are others such as mail servers or name servers, compute servers, or web servers. So, the philosophy behind the client-server model is that we'll use a network to share resources that are too widespread, too expensive, or used too infrequently to warrant the replication of every node. Information sharing is another important service, and a network is an excellent way to access scientific, medical, legal, and commercial data files that are stored on systems all over the world. So, for example, information can be distributed among the geographically dispersed sites of a multinational corporation and shared as needed by using what's called a distributed database. Web pages can be exchanged between remote systems. Files can be transmitted anywhere in the world using FTP. And we can even have online databases be accessed by authorized users regardless of location. In fact, many network sites now provide a special service called a data warehouse. So these nodes contain massive amounts of information that can be searched electronically for specific facts or different documents. Now, such sites would contain highly specialized information, such as geopolitical data, stock prices, real estate records, and so forth. It's mostly used now for students and scientists and businessmen, or business people, I should say, and politicians to look for information online than looking in the library. So we're seeing this more trend where people are looking on online databases for information rather than physically going somewhere to look up information. And then another important resource sharing service is the ability to support collaborative group efforts in producing a shared document, such as a user manual, a grant application, or a design specification. So workers can collaborate through the network, they can hold virtual conferences, check electronic calendars, and so forth. In fact, a rapidly growing network application and is a collaborative software known as a groupware or a wiki, where this is software that facilitates the efforts of individuals connected by a network and working on some single shared project. One of the most successful examples of this is Wikipedia, which is an online encyclopedia that's written, reviewed, and maintained by hundreds of thousands of volunteers just working independently. In fact, you can even go on there and add information to Wikipedia yourself. And so it's just like this public area where people can add information that can be shared among anyone else. Electronic commerce, or e-commerce, is a general term that we use to describe any use of computers and networking to support the paperless exchange of goods, information, and services in the commercial sector. So we're just basically looking at how we can use computers and networking in the business environment. In fact, this idea of using computers and networks for business has been around for quite some time. And there are several early applications of e-commerce. So this includes the automatic deposit of paychecks. This includes automatic teller machines, or ATMs, for handling financial transactions from remote sites. And then the use of scanning devices at checkout counters to get the sales and inventory information in machine-readable form. More recently, the focus has been on the use of the internet and the World Wide Web to advertise and sell goods and services. So, initially the internet was used by scientists and engineers, but now we're starting to see businesses take advantage of it and to be able to expand their businesses on a global scale. So, there are several applications that involve using the internet, and I'm sure you've used pretty much all of them at some point. So we have online stores for purchasing things, so like Amazon or eBay. There's electronic bill payments. I mean, a lot of banks, you can go online and you can use those banks to pay for bills, or even the providers themselves have a way to pay for your bills there. And even online payment systems such as PayPal, which you can use for purchasing goods and services.